It is my absolute pleasure to be joined today by author Jon Quint. He is the author of the newly released book, Oh, the Stories I Can Tell. And so, Jon, tell us about this book.
Well, basically, I did 25 years in the nuisance wildlife control business. I ran the business myself. I was a lone ranger, one man crew. And what I would do is I'd go out to customers' houses and do various jobs, squirrels in the attic, raccoons in the chimney, bats in the attic, a woodchuck living under the deck. And I'd go out, and most of the jobs were fairly routine, nothing, nothing you'd write home about. But every once in a while, I'd run across one that, by the time I got finished with it, I said, I got to write a book when I retire. So here I am.
I bet you have seen things. And so, bless your heart. So, what was the inspiration that actually made you say, okay, I'm going to write this book?
Well, basically, just earlier this year, I started seeing the advertisements for Storyworth on Facebook. And I said, that's right up my alley, because I've always been a big, family history type guy. And I said, I want to do this. So I asked my wife to get it for me. It was actually for last Christmas. So she did. So I wrote that book. It was like 438 pages of just, stuff involving me. And as I was going through, started thinking about writing a book about, the nuisance wildlife control. So as I was going around, as I remembered stories, I just, wrote a little note down so that when I got done, I had a Post-it note that had probably 40 or 50 stories on it. So I did the Storyworth intermittently, but as I got going with the Storyworth, I said, I'm going to write this book about my episodes with wildlife. So I started writing it. And actually, I wrote it's not very long. It's only like 62 pages, but it's it just has some information in it about the animals, their biological and their habits and what they feed on and stuff like that. And then some interesting stories that involve them. And if you want, at this point, I can tell you one story that I totally forgot to put in the book,
Oh, go for it.
but
Yeah.
it is hilarious. I got a call to a neighboring town one day. The gentleman who lived there said that it had been his turn to bring in donuts to work the next day. So on his way home the previous night, he stopped at Dunkin' Donuts. He got two dozen Dunkin' Donuts in there in the box. All right. And he did his normal evening things and went to bed. We got up in the morning and he came downstairs and there was freaking donuts, filling, powdered sugar all over his kitchen. All right. So he didn't I think he just had a cat. All right. And donuts are not something that a cat would get into. I said, well, I'll come up. I said, I have a couple of ideas what it is, but I'm not going to say yet. But I drove up there. And as I pulled up to the top of his driveway, which was right by the kitchen door, I looked at the door and I started laughing a little bit to myself. And I said, I think I know what happened, because in the door was a pet door. Okay, so I went into the kitchen, and sure enough, in the powdered sugar on the floor was a bunch of raccoon traps.
Yes, that's what I was gonna guess. I figured that's what it
So
was.
they came in overnight, had themselves a grand old party, and left.
They had a donut party in his kitchen. That's
Right.
great. Oh my goodness, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
So, well, it sounds like such a fun book. I think people would really love reading. And so, is there anything else you'd like to share with us today about you, your book, or the message within the book?
No, just that I've started writing another book, a third one. I
Nice.
spent 19 years with our Woodbury Ambulance Association as a volunteer EMT. So I'm just writing this book about that 19-year experiment.
That
or
is
experience.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so you
So,
have seen all kinds of things, and we want to encourage everyone. Oh, the Stories I Can Tell by Jon Quint. We want to encourage everyone to pick up this book online today. It's available everywhere online books are sold. It's on Amazon, Apple Books, online at Barnes and Noble, Reader House, all of those places. And you have been an absolute delight to talk to, and the raccoon story is hilarious to me. And so,
yeah.
so I'm excited for you, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Okay, you're quite welcome.